Hello, welcome. It's Tuesday, not Monday. So I know you were probably looking for us yesterday. And welcome to our small business chat. It's me, Warren, from Bremen, Germany.
It's me, Bridget, from San Antonio, Texas.
And this week we've got Rhonda Negard, who's also from San Antonio, Texas. And that's pretty exciting because normally we talk with people about, the theory and the tech behind small business. And this week, Rhonda she's a designer. And, she's going to talk this week, or we're going to talk, hopefully, not just going to be her, about small business and design, branding, UX. So she's really going to bring the whole flavor and color and excitement to what small businesses do. So welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's really nice. And how's the weather there in San Antonio today?
Depressing.
It's a lot like Seattle, so
Ooh, Seattle. So you guys are sleepless in San Antonio then, or?
It's
just
overcast.
kind of blah. Yeah, it's overcast, it's rainy, it's humid. Ugh.
Okay, all right. Well, I actually had garden office today. I was sitting out there and it was beautiful and sunny. The laundry dried, so that was kind of exciting.
It looks like if I wasn't in Texas, I'd be like, it's 56 degrees outside Fahrenheit and it's gonna rain. But I'm in Texas, so it's 80 something. It's 87% humidity, which is literally characterized as oppressive humidity, which I found out from Bill Taylor, the weather guy at Ken's 5 News. In the 70s is considered tropical.
Wow. So you don't need rain. It's just sort of like living in water.
Well, yeah. So the only temperature that really matters is the temperature inside my building, because my experience, my UX inside my apartment is 72 degrees. And that's
nice.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure Rhonda can't tell us everything she knows in the next 25 minutes. So maybe.
But she could start. I mean, is this good design weather? I'm a small business person. I want to start getting into design. Is this the weather to do it in?
Well, it depends on how much of a distraction you need from the weather. For me, I can design in any weather, but particularly like to be working in this weather because I'm not, distracted by wanting to go outside and enjoy the sunshine.
Good point. Yeah.
No, but more, so like, okay, Warren builds websites. I handle social media. I know that you do way more than people think. Like they think designs means you just like design book covers like this one.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm a small business. I have a tire shop downtown. I say, I need a website. I know that you build them, but like, what is UX, branding, design? What does that mean to a nuts and bolts kind of a person? How do you describe that?
Well, that's a lot in one question, Bridget. So, that alone could take up the whole 30 minutes or 25 minutes. So the first thing is when someone comes to me and says, I need a website, I need to know why. Why do you think you need one? Now, typically, I would say almost every business needs a website, but there are certainly exceptions, and you can succeed without one. I always counter with, if you're already succeeding and you don't have one, how much further along could you be if you did have one? So it's always going to complement your efforts. If you're working hard, it's going to work hard for you and make you go a little bit further, right? So if we're talking about a tire shop, well, they're local, right? And so a lot of their marketing efforts are going to be very targeted because it's geographically restrained, right? So we're not going to be concerned about what people in Germany want if we're working for, no offense, if we're working for a San Antonio based business, right, that is geographically constrained because it's a tire shop. So there are those things to keep in mind. So we definitely have to keep it localized with the lingo, the words that we use, the design and everything needs to feel like our hometown, right? For us to go out and design something that looked very Danish, very modern, right? That just probably wouldn't work here. Not that it wouldn't, but for a tire shop certainly would seem odd, right? But then there are other things to consider too. What is the tire shop going to do with their website? Is this where they're going to go and have clients like track their mileage or whatever on their tires and when they last got it checked up? Or is that simply going to be a sticker, just like with the oil and, on your oil change on your windshield? Like, how are they going to use it? What are they going to do for it? Is it just to lend credibility? Then if it's just to lend credibility, perhaps it just could be a one-page website, right? It doesn't need a whole lot of information. It's really for the credibility and brand awareness. When we use someone like you guys to market us on social media or elsewhere, we need to have that website so people can say, oh yeah, it's a legit business. It's not somebody just trying to con me for money or something, right? That doesn't mean that well-designed sites can't be scammers or illegitimate, but it does help to show that you've made an investment in your business, which means that you're serious enough to spend that money.
Yeah, in one of our first episodes, we talked about like what needs to be on a website: your hours of operation, your address, and your phone number, and they should be correct.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many times that's not there,
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially for something that's really constrained to its location, its geographic location. I mean, you think about a tire shop too in San Antonio. It's not even the greater San Antonio area. It's a smaller area within the city, right? So you've got some struggles there too, because on one hand, it's like really limited amount of business. You can only get so much. However, you can start to pull in people from the neighboring communities too, with your brand reputation and things like that. Oh yeah, I will drive 40 minutes to the other side of town because these people are reliable, they're honest, and I know I can always get in, right?
Or, you're going to wait. So where do you want to wait? Do you want to wait at Rosario's?
Right, that too. Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to go to Goodyear. I was thinking about the tire shop because I know it's a franchise, but it's still, they do oil changes and all that stuff. I know I can walk there, but then a lot of people want service, whatever kind it is, near where they work.
Yeah, right.
Or near where a friend is.
So, is it by your work, by your house, by your friend, by your favorite restaurant, or does the shop itself have a really nice lounge area with Wi-Fi and things like that, right? There was a place in my parents' hometown where they live that it's a car wash, and you think, oh, it's just a car wash. Well, you're not always first in line. Then you got to wait for the actual car to be washed and then dried off, right? And they have a pretty nice setup because they've got a little shop so you can buy some things for your car, but also like greeting cards, because how many times we're like, oh, I forgot Father's Day is coming up, or Mother's Day was, just yesterday and I totally forgot. So you can buy little things like that there while you're waiting. But then also they've got their own Wi-Fi and a nice little seating area with padded chairs so you can sit on your laptop, on your phone, whatever.
So it sounds like
that's part of your marketing, probably part of your branding as well, right? And since we're talking about marketing, I do want to make that distinction that marketing is short term, right? So we might be marketing for Cyber Monday soon, right? Starting in September, we need to have slowly started ramping up for that. So that means we need to be planning now, right? But marketing is short-lived. So as soon as Cyber Monday hits, we got something else, right? Maybe we're targeting for Valentine's Day by then. You know, like forget New Year's, because we were focusing on Christmas and New Year's for Cyber Monday. So now we're going to focus on Valentine's Day. So marketing is the short-term, smaller picture, and branding is the big picture. And that's why when people say your brand identity and everything associated with your brand needs to be, I'm sorry, words, Bridget. It needs to be timeless.
Yes.
Because the brand has to last over time. Your marketing strategy, your marketing concepts, the design and everything, all that can be the trends and everything, you know, that we have going on, like the 80s style that's coming back, right? Well, I say yay to parts of it not so much. But then the brand needs to be timeless. It needs to survive all those generations of trends that go on. And right now, trends turn over faster than they used to, right?
Yeah,
High-waisted, some trends are coming back that we never thought would, like the high-waisted jeans, right?
Oh no.
And the fluorescents are back.
Fluorescent jeans?
Fluorescent.
Well, neon colors, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh my.
That's totally 80s, early 80s. I remember
Mhm.
that when I was in elementary school. But
Yep.
I mean, we were talking about this with Coca-Cola, right? So in the 70s, they're like, I'd like to, you know, sing a song with everybody and live in peace and harmony. That was completely hippie generation. That fit. And then they went to the can has names on it because we're self-centered. Like, you know, so that would be a difference between marketing strategies, but the brand lives on.
Yep. The brand survived New Coke, you know, Coke Classic, and it survived the me generation of, well, I said the me generation, that was technically called the 80s, but you know, with the branding with our names on it and everything, the Coke brand itself, the branding and everything, it has remained consistent. You know, it's still that red and white.
Okay. So let me get this straight. Then if I'm a small business, I've got, you know, a few things that I have to think about. One, I have a brand that is over and above the products and services that maybe I'm selling. You know, I'm thinking here, you know, perhaps Walmart or Starbucks or something where people go to that brand because of what that brand means to them. And yes, they sell things, but they might buy things, you know, from that brand because of what that brand is, and not buy exactly the same item from, you know, someone else simply because we're identifying with the brand, and that can go long term. And then, you know, we've got as part of that brand, you know, then we've got the user experience. Like I feel good being with this brand, not because of what they sell me, but because I identify with them. You know, here probably the best example would be Starbucks. You know, their coffee is lousy. Why do people go there? Well, because, you know, some sort of tribal thing that's going on. And then you've got the product, you know. So if we go back to the tires, we've got, you know, the small business, they got a tire store. Everyone loves their brand. People are hanging out there. They're not even buying tires. They just really feel good about this brand. It turns into some sort of community center, you know. So you've got great branding. People are having an amazing experience, and oh, okay, now they're selling some tires as well. So, you know, if I'm a small business and I'm thinking, okay, I've got these three things on my plate, what would you know, how would you prioritize that? Because this isn't something that can just be done in a website. You know, how would you say to a small business, okay, you need to focus on maybe this, and then bring in this, and then that? I mean, is it a package? Is it, you know, something you say, well, we're looking at 2 years here, Bob or Mary? Like, where would you set the priorities, or does that depend on the product?
Okay, so first, there's a difference between brand and branding. So brand is the product or the service that you are delivering. It's the thing, right? And branding is the management of everything associated with that product, the delivery of that product, everything. So branding is where you should start, because it sets up that strategy and can put you on the path for success. Now, if you deviate from it, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to fail or that you're going to succeed, but staying on that path means that you're going to be consistent. And that's the main thing. That's where all of these companies, big or small, the ones that are really successful, is that they have remained consistent, right? So the Starbucks coffee, crappy or excellent, whatever, has remained consistent. Most likely, I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. And so that's their main attraction. But from the beginning, they wanted to create a sense of community, right? That's why they have those nice cushy chairs. And so that's part of what made people become loyal to the coffee itself, because they were able to work from home, like a lot of us, we have home offices, but meet with clients without having to bring them to our homes. So we can still go to Starbucks or go to, Seattle's Best or whatever. And that works. It works for me, who's not a coffee drinker. So they were able to expand their market a little bit, or their audience, because, hey, I know everybody else drinks coffee. I don't, but I can get them there. They can have their favorite coffee at Starbucks and we can get the business done. So that's part of the branding process, is identifying what it is that you want to create for your community, basically. Now, do you want, if you have a physical location, do you want that kind of activity? Might it be disruptive? Maybe that's too much. Maybe you want a more intimate relationship, and so you have more, you have limited number of people, but deeper relationships. So then you have to talk through, with your strategist, how do you create those deeper connections without, obviously spending all 24 hours of your day talking to 24 different people, right? You need to be able to reach more people, because we can't create time, right? Time is finite.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And so all of that is part of the branding. So I think small businesses need to start there. Now, it can become an expensive investment for some. It just depends on what your budget is, but there are ways that the businesses can start doing the branding on their own before they need, reach the point of needing a strategy to expand it and put some depth into it for them, right? And so now we're going to step back from branding, and we're just going to talk a little bit about design, because that's one of the many things that can influence your brand, right? So everybody, whenever they think of branding, they think, I need a logo. Well, a logo is an important tool, but it's not the only thing in your brand. It's part of everything. So it's going to be your typefaces or fonts. I'll start using fonts for the audience. And it's going to be on your color palette, and then just general placement of everything. So what I like to tell people, the same, you're going to say, oh, it's so cliche, but cliches are there for a reason, right? Keep it simple. So there's a phenomenon called the IKEA effect, which you guys probably are familiar with. If you build it, you have more of an emotional connection to it, and that's part of IKEA's brand, right? And so you will then overvalue something that doesn't have much value.
I mean, we know what a Billy bookcase is.
Right. And we can pay more or even the same amount to someone else, have something totally different, and we would value that differently. But because we are putting it together, we feel connected to it, invested in it, and maybe we enjoyed that experience. And if we did, then we go get more, right?
Yeah.
So um, that's part of the problem with wanting to, we have all these wonderful tools out there now, right? That are even free, some of them, where you can build your own things. You can build your own website, build and design. You can build and design your own marketing materials that you need, everything, right? But that's where the IKEA effect becomes a problem. So I have a friend of mine who is super creative. She's got a great design aesthetic, but for her brand, she's not consistent. She's changing color palettes every couple of months. She's changing her fonts. I mean, what are people going to think of? Are they going to recognize her when they see her on social media? She's going to have to work 10 times harder than she would if she would pick something and remain consistent. So the first place I want to tell people to start is with your font choices. So there's something called a font family, and to pick something that you already would know would be like Arial. Arial doesn't have little feet. It's nice and smooth, so it's modern, and it has a regular, bold, and italic. And it might have like extra bold, I don't know. So that three different variations on that font, that's a font family. And that means you're going to be able to have a little bit of depth, so you can use it in multiple ways. There are other font families like Roboto, because Roboto also has, it has light, ultra light, regular, semi bold, medium, extra bold, right, and black. What's
Mine is
that?
condensed.
You have, yeah, well, you're also using Roboto regular.
Yeah.
On your website. So, and then, so like on your website, for example, if people are listening, they can go to bridgetwillard.com and they can see that a lot of the headings are in the Roboto condensed bold, I think. It's been a while. And then the body copy is in Roboto regular or Roboto light. And so because they've got both of those, Roboto in general is a overarching family name, but then you have two families within that, which is the condensed and then the traditional variations. So you've got a lot of depth in Roboto, right? So you can really do a lot of things with just those two typefaces, and everything's going to look wonderful and consistent. So you're using Roboto condensed for headers. All right, so everything that you do with a headline is going to have that, and Playfair display, because we like the contrast, right? But then all the body copy is always going to be Roboto. So it's consistent, consistent, consistent. And that's only technically 3 fonts. Well, 2 of them go together, but it's 3 fonts, but with a lot of depth. And so you have a lot of variation to, you know, play to your whims as you want to design, but then also you are remaining consistent.
That's
So
sort of,
then, oh, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, that's sort of like, as you're explaining it, like I know this to be true, don't use a bunch of different fonts and stuff. And a lot of brands will hop on Canva and design their own thing and like pick whatever's trending without using their brand fonts. And I feel like with music, we're in a key. And we need to pick something that's in that same key. So I feel like if you're listening, you're kind of confused, think about it like music. If you are choosing something outside of your brand fonts, then you're off key.
Yeah, that's great.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It looks terrible.
Yeah. Well, then you've also got, so we've talked about the fonts, right? So now we got to talk about color. So color also works with your fonts. So you need to make sure that whatever color you use for headers is always going to be the same. Whatever color you use for the body copy is always going to be the same. And that doesn't mean you're limited to just 2 colors. Those might be the same colors. Like Bridget, I think on your site, I think we did keep those colors the same. But guess what? You have like, what, 10 colors on your website? I think people generally are only seeing 3 or 4. because there's black, there's this brownish, there's a maroon brown, and then a yellow, right?
Plus I have
But-
like a burnt sienna, a pale, like,
Burnt sienna.
yeah, I have a yellow, I have a pale yellow,
Oh,
I have
and
a
the red.
gold, yeah, I have the red, I have a turquoise, you know, there's, because
Yeah, and
it's,
so we can change up the color combination in a document, a marketing piece, whatever, our website, and create a different mood. So even within your website, you can have a landing page that uses only the header and body copy font. And then the other colors for the graphics, backgrounds, whatever, can be the blues that we didn't even get to on your website, right? But you've got at least one blue that, and the variations within that blue that you can use to create a softer mood, a more relaxed, you know, depending on what your marketing goal for that landing page is. So
Okay.
did I answer your question, or did I get off track? Because sometimes I do that.
No. So, I mean, so I'm a small business person. I've got, I know I've got to do, you know, I've got my branding, I've got my design, got to keep the people happy, give them a good experience when they're on my website or looking at my business cards or whatever they're looking at. From, you know, you've told me that I need to keep it simple. I need to be consistent. And now, you know, my accountant, probably my wife or my daughter or son, is like nodding, you know, it's like, what am I looking at? What's the ballpark figure? You know, what should I be investing to get all this going? I mean, you can spend $25 for a website. You can spend $25,000 for a website. You know, you can get a student to help you with social media. You can get an agency to help you with social media. I mean, what does one expect to be spending, you know, in a design ballpark for your average small business?
Yeah, well, you kind of said it right there. It can be anything from $25 to 25,000 or
Okay.
more.
All right.
Because small business doesn't always mean small budget, right?
right,
But
True.
it's what's your expectation? So if you're only going to spend $25, that might be best if you as the business owner have time that you invest that in some other way than paying someone on like one of the tournament sites or whatever. You might get something good, you might get something bad that frustrates you beyond belief, right? So that's why when I was talking about picking a font and be consistent, picking your colors and assigning those colors roles. So that's one thing that we didn't address, which is like on Bridget's website, red is an indication of an action. So they're going to be clicking on a link, they're going to click on a button, and she has a primary button that's her main call to action, and it is solid red. Her secondary call to action is white with a red outline. And so red has a role on her site, and that's the only place it's used except in like some imagery, but not any text or other graphics except for an action, right? So that red that we have on her bottle is the only place it exists to my knowledge.
Okay.
Here in some photographs, but that's incidental, right? So red has a role. So if you assign all these colors a role and you have your typefaces lined up, I think your money is best spent unless you have a budget of, let's say, more than $3,000. You're best to keep your website simple. And if you feel like you're not confident enough with choosing a color palette, the absolute best color palette is black and white, period. So start with, just type your name in one or two fonts, leave it black and white. It's so simple because it's the highest contrast, so you're not going to have any accessibility issues, right? And it's going to be clean. Now, I say it's going to be clean, that's provided you don't overuse other graphics. You just got to keep it simple. Always remind yourself, after you put everything up there, step back, get someone else to come over. Is it simple? Are they confused? You might have way too much information on your website and you need to strip it down. Like the tire shop may have put like, you know, the family history. That might be interesting, but if it's the homepage especially, that's more than they need to know. They need to know that they can get service right away, that they can schedule if that's part of your business model, and how much it's going to be and when. Like, when are they able to get there? Because if you close at 5 o'clock and I work 9 to 5, I kind of got to go during a lunch hour or not at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So keep your website simple until you can afford to invest.
Yeah.
At least $3,000.
I
So
would say,
maybe,
yeah.
so maybe like set up a savings account and be like, every
Yeah.
time you feel like, ooh, I want to touch my website, that instead of a swear jar, go put $25 in your website fund. No, seriously, because
Yeah.
people do this, and I know I've done it myself enough times before. Rhonda is now in charge, and she says, you're not allowed to do this. I even tried to do something the other day, and it says, you don't have permission. I was like, oh, okay, that was really smart of you, Rhonda.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, you know, for small business, you know, it's, you know, kind of try to do it like when you're in church or when you go to church, you know, you should like put 5% of whatever you make or whatever you sell.
Yeah, don't build your website in church.
No.
I was like, what?
He's talking about tithing, tithe to your business as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. But you know, for every you know, every dollar that you sell, you take 5 or maybe 10 cents and you put it in your marketing jar, and at the end of the month you use that 10% or 5% then to market to get you up higher in the next month, and then it's a gradual process. And I do the same thing, just to talk about me for a moment. When I have new clients and they say, well, I need all this stuff and it's so expensive, it's like, well, spread it over 6 months.
Right.
Spread it over a year. What do you have to do now? You know, as Rhonda said, you need a website, you need to be found. Okay, so that's your money now. And then do it as you have the resources. Because if you spend too much, well, now you spent all your electricity money, now you got to close your stores. Nice website, but no one can shop because your store is closed. Okay, this sounds like good advice. What's your experience being, Rhonda, you know, with small businesses? You know, do you find that they meet their expectations? Do you find they're surprised? Do you find they're frustrated? I mean, what's your experience with small businesses, or, you know,
their expectations for what? For
I guess for everything when it comes to, you know, their general marketing, you know, their website, their business cards, their, you know, their logo. Like, do you find that in the end it's paid off for them? Like, I think a lot of people come into this thing and go, oh, this is going to be so much, this is so overwhelming, I don't get it, I'm going to fail. And then later, I think most of the people find results. And I'm wondering, you know, if this is something that you find as well, that you can.
Yeah, well, and it's over time, and it's not going to be overnight. So that might frustrate some people, and it does, obviously. But over time, people grow into their business, and that's why in the branding process we talk about what your expectations are for your business 5-10 years down the road, so that we can create an aspirational brand that you can grow into, right? So for some clients it is frustrating because it's a stretch for them. They've as Jocelyn will attest, they're in this mindset of, you know, hey, what I've been doing has been working. If I change to this, it could shock my people, right? But when we were going through it, I just gave her some breathing room and she sat with it. And the more she started sitting with it, this is even before we launched, the more she started realizing I can get to this aspiration that we've established,
Yeah.
you know, and it truly is my goal, and I'm truly going to embrace it. So then once she was, you know, had her mind wrapped around it, she went, you know, full force, and we launched, and she's loving it still. And she has zero plans to change it. And I think that's the experience a lot of my clients have. Like, they might be hesitant at first because it makes them nervous, because it means I'm acknowledging that I have a goal, but I'm scared to get there. You know,
Yeah.
I'm scared I'm going to fail. We all deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And, but they've already made this investment into this thing. You've already also made your investment into not just paying me and paying you guys, but their business, their time. So why hold yourself back? But I would say that their own mindset is really their biggest hurdle. I do
Yeah.
see that over time. Of course, I'm the designer and strategist for some, but usually design is what they come back with me with. And they will repeatedly say, I am so happy with the work that we did. I get so much great feedback. And now, of course, again, they're sharing that with me because they know that that part is important to me. But I do hear that over time. They're like, oh man, it's just really working for us. And so then their hard task is to remain loyal to what we've established, and remain loyal to our own guidelines so that we can be consistent. And so that then customers over time, with that brand awareness, they're, you know, you're tweeting on Twitter, or, you know, you're driving around in your car with the wrap on it and everything.
Right.
Everything ties together. So when they see that tweet and then they look out their window and, oh, there's that car. We were just talking about them. And then I'm driving down the street and I see the sign above the shop or whatever. You know, it all ties together. And the more it looks alike, even if we aren't consciously thinking about it, it's imprinted. Everything that we hear and see, that it gets imprinted in our brains, whether we are consciously acknowledging it or not. And so that's why the consistency is important.
That's, as Bridget says, why COLA pays money for billboards on the highway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Great.
it's why, you know, marketing is great and effective, but it's more effective when people already know who you are, when they already know the brand.
Yeah, that's very true. All right. Well, that's a lot for our viewers to absorb. You're going to come back and talk about the next steps, I hope, soon. And
Sure, yeah.
where can people find you? I've got your website here, which I'm fiddling and trying to get. There we go. Fat Dog Creatives in San Antonio. There's dogs on it. You can recognize that.
Mm-hmm. You can find me at fatdogcreatives.com, or you can look up Rhonda Negard, Negard, on LinkedIn, or on Twitter at Fat Dog Creatives.
On your website is everything.
The two,
there we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you notice that the dog is wagging its tail?
I always notice that.
Did you notice that no cats are allowed? No cats are allowed.
Well, that was obvious, you know, like, yeah, no black cats, dog rules. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. That was awesome. Certainly gives us a lot of food for thought. And yeah, thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I look forward to our next one.
Yeah, enjoy your humidity.
No, that's why we have air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know the history of air conditioning? I'll save that for the next time. But it actually has to do with comic books. Without comics, we probably wouldn't have air conditioning today.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That's a nice teaser.
You guys have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.